member for Thornhill.
The private jets have landed and the limousines are idling in Egypt for a UN climate change conference where the minister is claiming to save the planet. Meanwhile, in Canada, struggling Canadians are paying record high prices for their costly plan that hasn't even reduced emissions. Private jets and limousines for these Liberals and higher prices on gas, groceries and home heating for Canadians. When will they admit their plan isn't working, park the jets and scrap the carbon tax they plan to triple?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member knows that 8 out of 10 families will be better off under our price on pollution and the climate action incentive. And Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Opposition never talks about the costs of climate change. There are many members from British Columbia on the other side. Mr. Speaker, a $9 billion impact from the floods, fires and droughts experienced last year. 600 people died under the heat dome, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we have a moral imperative and an economic imperative to do something about climate change. The honourable members of the opposition have no plan, never did, never will.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
That's misinformation from the member opposite. 1.5 million Canadians used food banks in 1 month. The response from the finance minister was to tell struggling Canadians that she was cutting her Disney Plus subscription. $14 a month is not going to put food on the table. It's insulting. Canadians are out of money. This government's out of touch. When will they stop their out-of-control spending and stop raising taxes on Canadians?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me tell you what really is out of touch. It is an economic plan which would eviscerate the EI system, which would endanger seniors' pensions, which would make pollution free again, which would claw back climate checks from Canadian families, which would leave Canadian children without dental care and deprive low-income renters of the support they urgently need. Our plan is responsible and compassionate. The Conservatives' approach is neither.
Hear, hear.
L'honorable. The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, my constituents see a tax for a tax, and when this government wastes money on their cronies like Frank Baylis or for a useless app like ArriveCan, that's called a scandal. And when they increase the carbon tax on gas, groceries, and everything else, they're making families struggle. When is this government going to show some compassion and scrap their plan to triple the carbon tax? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, our plan is caring, and it's also responsible. In the economic update, we mentioned that Canada's AAA rating has been reinforced. Canada has an excellent report on employment. 108,000 new jobs were created in October. Canada has now recovered 116% of the jobs lost during the pandemic. The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable, a father of 6, said he can no longer adequately feed his family. The finance minister's solution is that family should decide between Disney Plus and Netflix. That parent should decide between ground beef and bologna. That's this minister's economic vision. The NDP Liberal plan hits the poorest people the hardest. Why will they not give up on these tax hikes? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, what my honourable colleague has said is totally false. This is the government that has supported Canadian families with increased benefits. The father of 6 will receive thousands of dollars to feed his children. The Conservative solution would be to cut. What would they cut? We don't know, but it's something that they would immediately do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Jonquière.